before I talk about recognition, I wanted to talk about, the human nature, right? All of us human beings love and crave for affection, recognition from the people we cherish the most, our family, our friends, and at workplace, our managers and our peers.
As employees form a critical part of the company, so does employee recognition, because it plays an important role in the employees' contribution towards
essential that we figure out a way to retain these people, to recognize their talent, and to further their careers as they move through different levels in the company.
I think a lot of people in Bangalore can relate to this. The other day I was going to MG Road and I was going round and round searching for parking space, and suddenly this old image this old thought came to my mind. That image has etched in my mind, where one day I had gone to my wife's hospital where she's working in the US, looking for a parking place, and I was getting stuck finding parking. And in the end, I came in the front of the building, and I saw this space which says reserved for the employee of the month. And I was curious, what is this employee of the month, and how is this person getting the parking spot, premium parking spot? So I went inside, and sure enough, there was a plaque, a wall full of pictures, where they said employee of the month, and they get a plaque, the recognition, as well as a prime parking spot. I said, this is pretty cool. And that brings us to this topic of today's talk on recognition. Now, one of the things is, as a father, I noticed that my children look up to the small acts of recognition. They cherish that much more than the expensive toys that I may get for them. As an example, one day I was just going and watching my son play tennis, and in the end I commented, hey, what great shots you're hitting. That made me feel so good, as opposed to the toy that I was going to buy him later. So we have to recognize that the small affections of recognitions are much more important than expensive gifts that we may give to our loved one or otherwise. Now, other thing that I've noticed, especially living in the West, in the US, I see a lot of wealthy people and not necessarily happy, right? So many times we think, the happiness comes from the wealth, but in fact, the happiness comes from recognizing our work, recognition from the loved ones, or the people who care about, or who we cherish the most, or fellow co-workers, or managers, or let it be our family, right? Now, one important point to remember, and that's what I, always think about, is the act of recognition or act of praise has to be really genuine, really sincere. If you make an insincere attempt at just telling a person to say, great job, you're awesome, right? If you don't mean it, soon enough that person would recognize this fact that, hey, you are not sincere and honest, and they would tune out of your recognition.
Their aspirations and facilitating their aspirations also forms part of employee recognition. To cite an example, to cite my own example, when I expressed, I was an individual contributor before, and when I expressed my aspiration to take on a managerial role, I have been bestowed upon a managerial role, and I'm actually continuing to enjoy that, and that way my efficiency, my understanding of a particular task or a project, and my view of attacking problems, they have certainly changed, and it's changed for good. So that way I've also been facilitating the same for some of my colleagues who have come up with different aspirations to aid their career growth. For example, one of my colleagues came up with an aspiration that he wanted to see himself as a manager in some time, in a couple of years. So one part of employee recognition is like facilitating that. So there has been sufficient work done in the background for a smooth transition to a managerial role for him. So it's like when the aspirations of the people are heard, of the engineers are heard, they feel that they are being valued and they are being recognized, and that's the most important thing to keep in mind. Because nowadays perks and those things are not the only options of employee recognition, but these also form a part. And in addition to that, for example, there is another example to quote where people might want to grow up technically, and they want to be seen as architects. So a couple of options for them, for example, in big companies like ours, like Alcatel-Lucent, is like participating in architect forums, coming up with innovative ideas, and presenting them in architect forums. So this will actually throw open their knowledge, their expertise to others, which will be evaluated, and this will also aid their technical knowledge. Who knows, in future they might be seen as CTOs of some other company. So this way, aiding or listening to their aspirations, and suitably transitioning them, hearing them, also forms a part of employee recognition. So some things can be, some things like this can be done they're done in an official way, and some things can also be done in an unofficial way, in the sense that if people are volunteer themselves to take over additional responsibilities, they see some value in contributing more than what can be done. So these things also put faith in the upper management. These things also actually upper management sees their contribution, their extra contribution. They also will be suitably rewarded in the form of, for example, giving them a chance to mingle with different people by transfer of location. By transfer of location, they can be sent to a different location in different parts of the globe, where they can participate in technical seminars, on architect forums, present their ideas, and come up with architecture or something like that. So this way it aids a person's technical capability, communication between the peer people or with architects, their analytical capabilities, and overall professional development.